Hi everyone, welcome to the 89th episode of the Zicast. As always, I'm your host Ryan Ziaks, and today I'm joined by radio personality Casey Wiederhold.
Hello, I'm very excited to be here.
And I'm excited to have you. And I'd like to shout out episode 31 guest Chen for technical directing once again. So Casey, you know what we do here, I interview people, I get to know them better, and I'm hyped to know more about you. So how about you kick things off by telling us a bit about yourself?
Okay, so hi, I'm Casey Wiederhold. I am a junior in the Media Studies and Communications program, and I'm from Milford, Connecticut. That was my little orientation leader style intro. Yeah. But I will be going into my senior year next year. I'm very excited about that. I have one older brother and two younger sisters. Giving you all of the lore here.
Yes.
All the lore, yeah.
That's what we're here for.
So I live about a half an hour away from campus. I stay on campus. I won't say my dorm, but I live on the York Hill campus.
Won't dox yourself.
Yeah, I live on the York Hill campus, so it's like a little shuttle drive away. And then currently I work in the Office of Student Engagement as the org suite attendant, so where everybody comes in, where they need supplies for their clubs and organizations, they'll come and ask me for that. So yeah, I'm also on the Student Programming Board, SPB, as I'll refer to it. And then I'm also in WQAQ, where I am currently... I just finished my year as the production manager. WQAQ is the student-run radio station. We have, I want to say 75 or 74 hours, so different shows on air. You pick a time slot, and you get to do it like every day of the week. So my show is Mondays from 5 to 7. I play whatever music I want, and I kind of just yap a little bit, too.
A lot of Taylor Swift, I assume, knowing you.
Yeah, a lot of Taylor Swift. I haven't been playing her too much recently, though.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a change.
Yeah, changing up you're shaking it off, some would say.
Yeah, I am shaking it off. That was good.
That was good.
Really
I'm glad. I'm glad. But I also want to bring up how we met, which is you were actually my transfer student orientation leader when I transferred into Quinnipiac.
Yeah, I remember that. So, do you want me to talk about orientation?
Of course you can,
Yes.
I think it's a fun segue into you talking about your time as an orientation leader.
Yeah, so I was an orientation leader for 2 years. Usually you can only do it for 2, and then you can apply to be an OC, which is an orientation coordinator. Those are, I think they were called interns when you came in. We changed the name last year or 2 years ago, I believe. I can't remember. But they are also students. They run kind of the whole thing alongside our pro staff members, Hannah Cranston, Jamil Effend, and Nicole Healy. And it's very fun. It was kind of a crazy experience the first time around because you go in and you're like, okay, I don't know any of these people, and now I'm going to be stuck with them. Not stuck with them, but like with them for a whole month. And you're all close together. They usually have all of us reside in Hill, like the hilltop ones, the apartment style. So it was me and 5 other girls my first year, and it was very fun. We would stay up until like 2 in the morning, even when we had to get up at 6. And the actual program itself is very rewarding because you go in and you're making this impact on people who just came to the school. Like maybe this is their first time coming in, period. Like if you're from California, we had a couple of students this year actually from there, and it was their first time visiting the campus. So I can imagine it's nerve-wracking for them. But it's so rewarding to be able to help people like get used to the climate of the school. Because when I came in for orientation, it was my second time on the campus. I didn't know where anything was, no clue. So the orientation leaders, our whole job is basically like tour guide, sort of, I'd say, but like not really, because we have this activity called Celebrating You. I don't remember if we did that with you. I think we did it to an extent. If you remember, it's the one
even remember.
It's the activity with the string.
I can't say I recall. It feels like it was 4 years ago, even though it was half that time. But
wow, it was 2 years ago.
Yes.
That's insane. But we have this activity. It's called Celebrating You. It's where you really get to know the students, and I learned more about my OL partners when I did this activity. So what we do is you answer a few questions and you'll go around the room. So like one of the questions that I can remember was like, what's a change that you want to see in the world? So it's like these very deep, profound, philosophical questions that you're asking people who haven't known each other for that long. They've known each other maybe like 8 hours at that point.
Mm.
And it's you get to see a whole different side of people. Like, I didn't have this experience this past year, but I remember my first year on staff, like, we had people who had to step out. Like, it's like these very emotional moments for them. You're literally bearing your soul to people you don't know at all. And it's very scary and intimidating, but in a sense, it brings everybody together, which is honestly my favorite part about it, because I like getting to know people. I like talking and doing all of that fun stuff. But we also have like this little string that you throw at the end. So you make a little web and you say like, I connected with Ryan because we both really like music, and then you throw them the string and it creates a whole little web of connection, and you cut it at the end, and everybody gets a little bracelet. I still have mine from my orientation year. Our theme that year was streaming services, and I was in Gossip Girl. That was my orientation group. It was very fun. I was very nervous. I didn't want to stay over. I remember calling my mom and being like, I want to come home. But I was there because, you have to register for classes and everything. But I remember a lot from my orientation experience, but it was very fun.
So it was kind of like a found family, like the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly. Yes. I didn't really know how to describe it, but that's exactly what it's like. Because even when you're on staff with people, I still talk to my OL partner from this past year, Jules Mazzella. I love, love, love her. It was like a match made in heaven for us. It was very fun. There's a video somewhere, I think I have it, of when I found out who my OL partner was, and it was her. I literally screamed and jumped for joy. I was so excited because she's so sweet. So even among the people you're working on staff with, because we're there for so long, you get very close with them very quick. Because we do kind of those same activities that we have the students do, where you're getting to know these people and you're spending all this time together. There's usually a tradition where on an off day, all of the OL staff members will go to the beach together and we'll all hang out. And it's optional, but it's still really fun to get to know everybody on a different level.
Yeah, those team bonding things. And I'm sure it was it's also networking too, to be able to meet all these people and make all of these connections right away. Was being an OL something you did right off the bat when you got to Quinnipiac?
So I went through my whole freshman year. The applications came out, I want to say beginning of the spring semester, so January, February. So the interview process, at least from what I remember, is you do Spark Hire, which is they ask you questions and you record a video of yourself, and then they will call you to the next round if they want to keep going with the interview process. The next round is group processing, so you're with different candidates and they have you do activities. I remember for group processing, when I came in, it was, okay, which items are going to be the best for getting you through being stranded in a forest. It was very I was okay, why are we doing this? But you're with a group of 5 or 6 people. You're all talking to each other about, okay, this is our number one item. And I think there were maybe 25-ish people in there in total, plus the orientation coordinators and a couple of the pro staff members. So they're all sitting there taking their little notes, and you're oh, all these people are watching me. So it was very nerve-wracking. And then you also sort who you think would be the best orientation leader. I don't know if that's still how they do it. Because when you go in as a returner, I remember filling out I want to come back, and then they'll talk to you or be hey, we want to extend this offer to have you come back for the next year. We just want to meet with you really quickly to talk about some stuff. You can get feedback and all that kind of stuff. So it was very fun.
So a lot of interesting getting to know you questions presented throughout this whole process.
Yeah.
But it was cool to learn of that process. And of course, you're able to make friends as an orientation leader, but you're also kind of college students' first friends. How does that affect?
So I'm going to go way back to when I came in. My orientation leader was Paige Pizzella and Gia, who's in SGA. She just finished. I, right off the bat, got very close with Paige. We were very close friends. We still are friends to this day. So she was kind of the first person I met on campus. Literally, my first friend. And I'll always be grateful for that because honestly, I think if I hadn't met Paige, I wouldn't be on the student programming board and going into the position of vice president of engagement. So I owe that to her. But I still talk to a lot of my first years. Like, there's a few of them that I'm still fairly close with. Like, we'll get food together or we'll, like, just text and talk and hang out. So it's very nice to be able to do that for them and be kind of that support person.
Yeah, because I was going to reference Paige Bozzella, former Zicast guest.
Yes.
Kayla Tinoco, former
Yeah.
Zicast guest. And was that Gia Iwanek?
Yes.
Former
she was
Zicast
also-
guest.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a big guest list right there.
They're a big lineup. And they were all kind of like formative people for you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
they were the first. Gia and Paige were the first people I really met on campus, which was literally insane, but so nice to like come back in August when we're moving in and seeing them, and you're like, okay, I'm still nervous, but I don't feel as scared because I know 2 people already. You're not like coming in feeling, at least I didn't. I can't speak for everybody else, obviously, but I didn't come in feeling completely alone.
Yeah.
Which was really nice.
And Paige was a great match because, of course, you mentioned like SBB and you two have like similar interests. Now, if you don't mind telling us about your time in SBB and kind of what that's all meant to you.
So SPB is the Student Programming Board. We program events every Friday and Saturday. That's what we're contracted to do with the school. But we also have events like throughout the year. So we have Hollow Week, which is a Halloween-themed week in October. Winter Week around Finals Week-ish, like before that. So like that week between Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving break and finals. Spring weekend we just had, it was Shrek themed this year. It was very fun. We also do 2 bigger events by the main stage chair. I don't know if you've had Emma Dinnan here or you've talked to her.
I've worked with her at Quinnipiac Productions.
I love Emma Dinnan. She, this year, was the main stage chair. So main stage is the position that puts on Fall Fest, which is our annual fall concert, and Wake the Giant, which we just had this past weekend with Quavo. That was very fun.
And student programming before you host all these events, and that's something I went to before I spread my wings and started joining a ton of things on campus. And it's a great like introduction thing for people just to like have an event to go to. Is that something you think of when planning it? You as in like SPP as a whole?
Yeah, so it's definitely something we take into like consideration because for next year we're starting to think about Welcome Week, which is the first like theme week of events that we do. So my freshman year when I came in, it was Survivor themed. And then we also do Welcome Back Week, which is like welcoming everybody back from winter break. This past year, it was Snoopy themed or Peanuts, which was very cute. And we put on these events so people know that there's something to do on campus because I know we're in Hamden, so we're a little bit more remote in our area. Like there's things to do, but you have to Uber to go to like New Haven if you want to walk around the stores or if you're not a nature person and you don't want to hike, you're like, well, what is there to do? I can't really do anything. SPB is your place to go. That's what I started doing. I started going to the events, and then eventually Paige had convinced me. At the time, she was the Traditions and Community Chair, so she was the one putting on like Hollow Week, Winter Week, those type of events. She had convinced me to join her committee, and I did, and I'm very glad that I did because it's landed me where I am today.
Yeah. And you mentioned Wake the Giant with Quavo. I feel like we have to get into that now. So if you don't mind telling us about your experiences, like, well, what Wake the Giant is, and then kind of like your experience of being involved with it.
So Wake the Giant is our annual spring concert put on by the Student Programming Board. We also get help from the Office of Student Engagement. So we have Matt Kurz, Hannah Cranston, Jamil, Nicole. And Emma is the one who picks out the artists. So next year it'll be a new person because the chair and the board changes every year. So they do contracts and they talk about who they want and kind of that whole process. I know 2 years, my first year we had Offset.
Yes.
I was the photographer for SPB for that one. Last year we had Flo Rida. I was also the photographer. So this was my first year really stepping into like a director role. Directors are the people that the main stage chair will delegate their work onto if they have things to do. So I was one of 2 volunteer directors this past year. And me and my co-volunteer director, Ashley Rush, we put together a presentation for info sessions. We made a form saying like, what's your name, t-shirt size, all of that fun stuff. We made sure that the volunteers had things to do during breaks because day of show, there's a lot of downtime. I think we had 6 hours of downtime this year, whereas in the past, it's been maybe a little bit shorter, like by 1 or 2 hours. And it's just really interesting because in the past they've only had one volunteer director. So this is the first year that we had 2. It was really fun because Ashley and I would collaborate on everything. And when we were doing the food orders, because we order food for the volunteers, we were like, okay, do we go from Eli's or do we get Olive Garden or Chili's and all of these other places? Because it's kind of, we have to go where, we can go wherever we want to, but we want to try and keep it local. So I know one of our requirements was we really wanted Chili's. SPB loves their Chili's, which is so fun. But so we ended up ordering from Chili's. We do that. We help Emma get the catering orders done and make sure that there's snacks. So we go shopping for drinks. And like everybody wants Celsius, so we get the Celsius. We do kind of that stuff. And then that's all leading up to day of show. We did a lot of that week of. It was like taxing in a way, but like because you're doing so much. But it's very fun. And with actual day of show, so the day before we have stage setup, that's where all of the volunteers come in, all of SPB's executive board members. We have our stage company, SCL, come in and they build the stage and they show us what to do, how to do it, and we all kind of collaborate on that. We get pizza after. It's very fun. I love stage setup. But day of show, it's a very early day for directors and executive board members. We got there at 8:30 in the morning, and being there from 8:30 in the morning to, I think I went home at like 1:30 in the morning the next day. It's a long day, but it's really fun because you're doing anything that SCL needs you to do to finish with the stage. Your directors are running back and forth trying to make sure that the artist dressing room is done and that they have all the snacks and food and get the menus ready so they can order dinner. And e-boarders and directors have their own room, so we have kind of our own space to chill out if we need to. There's the volunteer room where I set up a movie and I played Trolls 3 for everybody. So it's a very long day, but we also have the opportunity to see the artist perform. So when you put everything together like that and you just look from a behind the scenes standpoint, you're like, wow, we did this. We did the thing. We put this on.
Yeah, I actually helped volunteer for Flowrida building the stage.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I was LinkedIn farming when I was doing that, but I got
That's
some
amazing.
cool pics out of it. It was cool really seeing the process of assembling the stage, and like you said, like those long days and nights. But it's cool to like see behind the scenes, and I'm sure being a director, making decisions, having to pivot when an artist says they're dehydrated and exhausted.
Yes.
Not too long before the production of the show. And how was this year with Quavo? 'Cause I wasn't able to attend.
It was really fun, actually. I had a lot of fun. I know personally more of Quavo's songs because he was a member of Migos. So I know he played like Stir Fry and he played a couple of other songs from that band. So it was really fun to like hear those live.
Yeah.
I remember saying, I don't remember who I said it to, but I said, wow, I've heard Stir Fry twice in my life. Not something I expected, but I'm really happy about it. And it was very fun because Stir Fry is like a song that my friends from home and we would blast with our windows down in the summer. So it was like, I'm hearing this live. This is so insane.
Yeah.
As
nostalgic
things happen at concerts, you're like, oh my God, this person's real.
Yeah.
It's very fun. I love it.
You're bringing up songs and music and your involvement in WQAQ, the radio station here. Tell us about that.
So this year I was the production manager for WQAQ. That's another executive board position underneath like the other 8 or 9 that we have. So there's the general manager, programming manager, there's genre managers. So this year we had punk and alt, R&B and hip hop, folk and country, pop and indie. And we also have 2 music managers. So they're the ones who get us those connections to go to concerts and take photos or do reviews. So shout out to Zach and Bryn because they did so good when I asked them like 6 times to go to a concert. But it's a very fun experience. Like my role as production manager, we have a sequencer, which is where our whole database of songs is stored. We have a soundboard so we can like do things with the mics and everything. I learned how to use our softwares, RCS, G Selector, and Zeta all on my own. I'm very proud of myself for teaching myself how to do that because I came into the role not really knowing much about the radio because I'd only been on for a semester before that. So I came in and I was like, okay, I have no idea what to do. Like, this is so crazy. But I would contact our engineer if I had questions. I had him come in and kind of just give me the basics when I first was offered the role. And I was like, yes, I'm going to take it. It was very complicated, to say the least, because it was a completely new software. I was learning how to rename tracks, how to put things on, take things off, and really learn the rules of the sequencer. But now I think I could say I'm pretty much a pro, which is great. But I started WQAQ. I didn't have a show until the spring of last year, which I think is very surprising to people.
Yeah.
Because I seem like I would have been doing it this whole time, but that's not true. So I wasn't in WQAQ at all my freshman year. I was more involved in the Quinnipiac Chronicle, which is our student newspaper. But I was like, okay, I want to do more of this. I want to go more into music. I think that's where my interests really lie, because I grew up in a house where music was always playing. Like, my mom would listen to like reggae music, 80s music, literally anything. So that's where I get my very diverse music taste from, because I also listen to anything and everything. So coming in to Quinnipiac and not really knowing where, like, if we had something like that, because I stopped playing the flute after high school. Fun fact, I was in marching band.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a time. It was a good time, but it was a time because I was COVID year for high school, so very interesting. But I came in and I actually started as a psych major here in the 3+2 MSW program. I switched to communications at the end of my freshman year because just being in the Chronicle and student programming board, I started to realize more so that psychology wasn't something I wanted to do. So it was a very lengthy decision-making process for me, because I was like, okay, I can get my master's in a total of 5 years, or I can just go through 4 years and still be fine, but I'm doing something I really am passionate about and I love doing. It was very, like, back and forth for me, but I did end up switching. And I think it was the best decision I've ever made. My therapist actually helped me make that choice. So shout out to her for actually like pushing me to do that, because I don't think I would have. I think I still would have been a psych major. But after
She really
that,
got to the psychology of it.
Yeah. Wait, that was a pun. But yeah, so I went into sophomore year. I was like, okay, I'm going to be in WQAQ. I'm going to try this out, see how it goes. I ended up not doing a show just because I didn't know what I would do. So I took some photos. I did a couple of articles just to like kind of get my feet wet and see what this club is all about. I ended up falling in love with it, and I talked to Jen Molia, who was the general manager at the time. I said, hey, can I start a show? Like, is it too late to start one in the spring? And she said, no, it's totally fine. So then I said, like, maybe a week into the semester and a week before I started my show, I was like, can I do a 2-hour show? And she was like, yeah, sure, you can do whatever you want. We have the time. So I ended up doing a 2-hour show, and it's been that way ever since. But I think Jen is also part of the reason why I'm in the School of Communications now, because I met her at a hockey game my freshman year when I was taking photos for the Chronicle, and she introduced herself to me. Very bubbly, pink-haired girl. I was very confused because Jack Spiegel had told me, like, that she was going to be there, and I was like, okay, who am I looking for? He was like, oh, my friend Jen's going to be there. And I was like, okay. So I'm, like, looking around in the press box all confused, and then this pink-haired girl comes up to me, and she's like, oh, hi, I'm Jen. I was like, yeah.
You can't miss her.
No, you can't. I love her, though. She's, like, one of the sweetest people I've ever met.
Former Zicast guest.
Yes, actually, yeah. But she said that our first conversation, I don't remember this, but I trust her. She said our first conversation was, like, her asking me my major, and I said psychology, and she goes, why? I was like, oh, right. Yeah, so that was my plan with that. But I love doing WQAQ. I wish I could continue it forever, even when I graduate.
Yeah. And I've been on Jen's radio show with Connor, Ringside Radio. I'm a Ringside regular.
Yes.
I'm happy to say. And it's great because something I also talked about with Nick Wapaya when he was on the Zicast. The creative freedoms you get through radio too, even as a medium where people can't see you, so you could play around with sound and things like that. Is that something you've kind of been able to express
I have not tried the sound effects. It's not my vibe personally, but I love that they do it. Like whenever I listen to their show, I'm always laughing. It's so good. I usually go for doing like a little mix of music and talking. So I'll play, like this past week, because of Wake the Giant, I just did like a very chill, low-key kind of show. So I'll play like 4 or 5 songs and then I'll talk. Normally I do like 3 or 4 songs and then I'll talk, just depending on like how I'm feeling, like what I want to do when I'm sitting there, because normally I'll sit and just like scroll on my phone or do homework, but now I'm getting to the point in the year where I don't have much work, so I'm doing a lot more talking, which is crazy because sometimes I can't always fill the time.
But also it was crazy because you were my orientation leader, and then we ended up working with each other in Quinnipiac Productions. Do you mind telling us about that experience?
Yeah, that was a really fun experience. I think, because I did say I'm in the organization suite now, I think it was just like my time to go and let somebody else have the opportunity, but it was very fun and interesting. I think with work, it's a lot more about who you work with, not what you do. But I like doing what you love.
Yeah.
So I was able to, with this job, I was able to dive into more of like the social media content, which actually helped me realize that I want to do all the social media stuff and run an account. So we would go out and film TikTok videos or YouTube shorts, and I would learn to use Premiere Pro, because normally I would edit with like CapCut, but I was like, okay, Premiere Pro, we're gonna try this out. I really like it. It's so good. It's so easy, at least for me to use. I know everyone has different experiences, but I think it was sophomore year when we started Q Cart.
Yes.
With Cole. There's a pilot episode somewhere in the drive where it's me and Raynette Shefu, who used to work here. She graduated, but she was the original host, and then we switched over to Cole after the pilot episode, because the original plan for Q Cart was to have the host drive and ask the questions. Not great.
It was distracting.
Yeah, it was a little bit distracting, but I remember so vividly from that first day of filming Q Cart, standing on the sidewalks of Bobcat Way with my phone, holding it, and me and Michael, who was one of our coworkers, we were running up and down the street trying to record the Q Cart as it drove by to get external shots. So there's probably videos on my phone somewhere of me just like running and with the phone recording and just going and going. But it was definitely an interesting experience, to say the least.
We all start somewhere, even Q Cart. Don't drive in Q Cart.
No, literally, don't drive in Q Cart, guys.
So you were there.
It's not safe.
Yeah, you were there for the inception of Q Cart. How was that, and seeing it grow over time? Really
crazy, because at first it started out as Cole literally screaming at people to get on the cart. I think with Cole just, he was very like loud and outgoing. So when he would yell at you from the street, you're like, who is this guy talking to me? Or people had started to see Q Cart, like the first couple of episodes were posted, and they're like, oh, I want to do this. Or people just want a free ride to their classes, which honestly, like, that's so real of them, because I would too.
I will say my 2 times on the Q Cart, it's found me. I think it was destiny.
Yeah. Sometimes it finds you, sometimes you find it.
Yeah.
I think at some point the real Q Cart is the friends we made along the way.
Oh my God.
That was good.
There's something spiritual in the studio right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's a fitting way to transition into your next opportunity.
Student Programming Board in the Office of Student Engagement.
How about you tell us kind of like your transition from Quinnipiac Productions to that?
Yeah. It was a pretty, like, honestly, going from working so much with computers to not working as much with computers has been a real break on my eyes, which I do miss QProd some days and like editing all the videos and everything. But I like having the little screen breaks, because sometimes I'll sit, if it's like quieter day and there's not really too many people asking things, I'll like sit and I'll read my little book, or I'll do like some homework, and I'll kind of like, it sometimes feels like a moment where I can like just breathe, because I am a pretty busy girl.
Yeah.
So I live a little bit of a hectic life. So it's like a nice break, but the transition wasn't bad. I think the hardest part was leaving everybody at QProd, like leaving everyone I worked with. Like, it was very weird to come in where you're always seeing somebody to now sitting in a booth by yourself.
What has your new position kind of been teaching you?
It's definitely been teaching me a lot of patience because I will print for student orgs and sometimes the printer doesn't like to work.
Yeah.
So it's definitely taught me a lot of patience and like time management as everything teaches you, but I am able to do more work, or I'm able to just like have that time where I can like exhale, because that's been a big thing that I've learned here, is that I need to take that time, even if it's just 5 minutes.
Yeah. So let's take 5 minutes and continue to get to know more about you, Casey. And how about you tell us some things people might not know about you, like fun facts?
Ooh, okay. Everybody knows that I'm a big reader, but I will say, I don't think anybody knows how much I love like memoirs and biographies. Like this is gonna sound so crazy, I think I've read every single biography about Frank Sinatra in existence, which I think there's maybe like 8 of them. I love Frank Sinatra. Everybody knows that, but I love reading like biographies and memoirs. For Christmas a couple years ago, my parents got me Dave Grohl's book, you know, from Foo Fighters. Yeah. I read that in maybe 2 days. I ate that up. It's very interesting to read about, like, even if they're still alive, like Dave Grohl, it's so interesting to read about like what led them to that point in their lives, like how he knew he wanted to be a rock star, or like how he really felt and how he dealt with Taylor Hawkins' death, because and Kurt Cobain's death, because he was also in Nirvana. It was very interesting to read that and like see what's going through his head, even if it's written by a ghostwriter. Like honestly, it's still very interesting.
So you ate that up and left no crumbs.
Exactly.
And then you read Frank Sinatra, so you're kind of absorbing and learning about artists your way.
That was really good.
I've been silent this whole time, but you need to get out of here. That one was bad.
That one was really good. That was a good one.
Okay. See, it's kind of like, it's like playing darts. It's a game of attempts with my puns.
It is. That was a good one. I did like that one. I enjoyed that a lot, actually.
Thank you.
It was a divisive pun.
Yeah, it was. But I think that's something really interesting, because I know when people read books, they're like, oh, I like romance books. I like fantasy books. No, I like knowing the real details. Like, I, over the summer, read one about Elvis Presley. It was about the first half of his life, so I think it ended, like, right around where his downfall started. It was so interesting because it would talk about how he was such a shy kid and how he didn't have too many friends, and I was like, this is not the same man who gets on stage and dances like that. That is not the same man. But it was, and it was really interesting to learn about that. Like, I also really like learning, despite what everybody thinks, because I have never been like a math or science. Like, I'm not like a super educational, like, it's not something I am super interested in, which is kind of ironic considering I am in college. But I love learning about like pop culture and music and things more that aren't academically focused.
Yeah, and especially with like musicians, because obviously like the music biopic is like a giant movie genre, and it's cool that you were able to kind of see it in a book. Because I always feel that maybe it's because I'm an English major, books are always kind of stronger than movies in that sense, because they can dive into a deeper story.
I agree. I completely agree. I am more of a book adaptation than a movie adaptation kind of person, and I know with, like, for example, the Hunger Games series, with the new book that just came out a couple of months ago, I had never read the Hunger Games original trilogy, and I will say that now, which is crazy because I've seen the movies. I, like, yes, with the books, I already knew what was happening because I had seen the movies, but there are things in the books that you don't get from the movies. Like, in Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is the 4th one, you see more of Coriolanus Snow's thoughts and kind of his actions that lead him to do the things that he does. Whereas in the movies, you don't see that as much. So I like all of the details, and I think that's why I kind of prefer reading things.
Yes.
Because I feel like I don't at least I haven't been watching a lot of movies recently if they're based on a book. I'll read the book and then watch it. I don't know if you've ever been the same way.
I also think of I've always thought of this with like Harry Potter and Voldemort, because there's a lot of Voldemort's development that's kind of left on the cutting room floor of the movies.
Yeah, I'm actually like kind of rereading the Harry Potter series because I haven't read it in so long, and since I have a Kindle and I have Kindle Unlimited, it's all on there, so I can just read it all as I please, and I do.
Yeah.
But knowing the details about like how Voldemort became who he is, going from Tom Riddle to this dark figurine, is really interesting. Like I love the visuals of the Harry Potter movies, but I think the books just give you details about the characters that movies don't.
Yeah. And books are always better. It's such a healthy hobby to have rather than like consuming brain rot on your phone, which is something that we're all victims of. So reading something you love, what's one thing you love and one thing you strongly dislike?
Okay. I don't want to say books, but I really love books.
Okay.
They're so good. Fun fact, going back to my fun facts, I didn't get back into reading until my sophomore year.
Really?
Of college, yeah.
What got you back into it?
The SPB advisor, Nicole, she said, like, hey, you should, like, try reading as, like, if you have time, like, just as self-care. I started that, and I did not look back. I read 115 books last year.
What, really?
Yeah. Everyone gets really surprised when I say that.
You're tracking that on Goodreads? Or?
Yes, I have Goodreads. I have Goodreads, Storygraph. There's another one called Fable that I really like. My goal this year is to read 120.
Okay. You're getting close.
I've only read 32 so far.
Oh, okay. So not, not as close, but
we're almost halfway through the year.
you'll have the summer.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then one thing I really don't like, this is going to sound so weird. One thing I absolutely hate is when I can hear people chewing their food.
Interesting.
It, like, the sound, it just, like, makes, yes, that sound. It makes my skin crawl. And I know there's this thing called, like, misophonia, and I don't like to self-diagnose, but I think, like, that's what I have, because it bothers me so much.
I didn't mean to trigger that
No, it's
by
okay.
testing you.
It's okay. It's totally fine.
We know you're telling the truth.
Yeah. It's really interesting, because, like, sometimes, like, when people hear pen clicks too much, like, that bothers them. That also bothers me. It's really just, like, I think repetitive noises.
Like nails on a chalkboard, like something that makes you tweak.
Yes. Nails on a chalkboard is arguably the worst sound in the world.
But you know something that's not worse, that is great? I like to hear some of your hopes and dreams professionally or in general.
And dreams. Well.
It's always hard to transition to that.
No, it's okay. I think that was a pretty good one.
Okay.
I think I'll do both personal and professional. Professionally, my hopes and dreams are to be working for like a big, like a well-known company and running their social media accounts. I don't exactly know which company, but I want to work in the music industry. So maybe if I'm like running a band's Instagram account or socials, like that would be so cool. That's like my dream. Or working for a radio station like iHeartRadio. I know that my hope is to go into the music or entertainment industries because those are the two things that I love. So I want to still be in those fields. Like I would love to work for like Disney or Marvel and do stuff like that. That would be awesome. But, and then personally, my hope is to one day be living in New York City.
Awesome. And what draws you there?
My dad works in the city, so I've always grown up going there, like, around the holidays and just going there in the summer and everything. So it's always kind of just, like, been a constant. Like, a lot of my family is from New York, so we're always there. But I just love the city. I know there's, like, a whole, like, New York or Boston, like my friends will like, they'll joke around and be like, oh, Boston's better, it's the cleaner version of New York. And I'm like, okay, then you can have Boston. I want my dirty little 2 a.m. hot dogs. Like, I don't care. Fun fact, I have had a hot dog at 2 a.m. in Midtown. It was crazy, actually. It was after the Taylor Swift concert.
Yep.
Wow,
some vivid imagery.
Yeah. There's a 0.5 on my phone of my cousin taking a picture of me, like, just holding the hot dog, looking up at the lens.
Aw.
And it's really funny. But that was the first time I had a 2 a.m. hot dog in New York.
One of many? Potentially.
One of many, potentially. I don't know where in the city I'd want to live because it's all great to me. Like, I feel like Midtown is the best way to go. Just to say, like, somewhere. But, like, realistically, I think I'll see myself living in, like, one of the other boroughs like Brooklyn or Queens
Hmm.
because it's still a train ride away.
Yeah.
So as long as I live in New York, we're good.
Yeah, and that sounds like a movie. So I'd like to ask you, what are some of your favorite movies?
Okay. My all-time favorite movie is The Devil Wears Prada.
Very fitting for New York.
Yeah, actually. I love Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway, and Emily Blunt, and Stanley Tucci.
Yes.
Literally my icon. I read his cookbook. He has a biography where he also includes recipes. It was really interesting, actually, because I kind of want to make some of the food in there. But The Devil Wears Prada is one of my favorite movies, like, ever. I think my favorite movie growing up was Tangled.
Yes.
Rapunzel is my favorite Disney princess.
I watched that recently. It's so good.
It's so good. I'm going to throw in a TV show.
Okay.
I'm going to really expose myself here. My favorite TV show growing up was Dora the Explorer.
Okay. We're
Which
all
I
trying to
feel
find
like-
where we want to go.
Okay. You're done. No, that was my favorite show, like, ever growing up. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you know when you're a kid and you just have, like, that one thing where you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I want all of the toys, all of the clothes. Like, if you ask my mom, she'll tell you that I have, like, pictures of me and a talking Dora doll. And they're probably in my house somewhere. And I stand by that.
Yeah.
Because, hey, without Dora, I wouldn't be exploring life.
And we all
you get
want
it.
Swiper to stop swiping.
Exactly.
And,
Exactly.
And I'm glad that we were able to explore all these topics on this awesome episode
Me
of
too.
the
This
Zicast.
was really fun.
And thank you so much for coming on.
Of
And
course.
do you have any motivational words or plugs or anything you'd want to leave the audience with?
Ooh. Always take time for self-care.
Okay.
That was something I learned. Don't strive for perfection, strive for progress.
Deep.
That was a really hard thing for me to learn. Fun fact. Well, like, not so fun fact, but I learned that through SPB, that not everything's going to be perfect. Nothing is going to go your way 100% of the time, and you kind of just have to be okay with that. It's been a really, really crazy journey at Quinnipiac, and I think learning that when I came in has been the biggest thing and most helpful thing. Also, shout out to my family.
Yeah.
I was like, hey.
Shout out them. And the common trend of this episode is very inspiring, Casey.
Yeah.
As you've been able to do all these different things. And it's cool to, like, catch up with you now, with
Yeah.
you being one of the first people I meet here.
That's crazy.
And now talking to you as I'm nearing my way out.
Yeah.
At the
Are you
time of this.
graduating this year?
I am, yes.
Oh, so, like, that's really crazy.
Yeah.
That's so insane.
It's surreal on
Yeah.
all fronts, especially in this context. Yeah, so thank you for always being fun to work with, for creating all of this amazing content, and I'm excited to see what you do in the Big Apple.
I'm excited to see what you do.
I'll try my best.
Thank you for having me. This was so much
Of course.
fun.
Thank you for being here. And as always, this is Ryan Ziaks with the Zicast, where everyone has a story, signing off. Thank you so much for watching.